It's been all over the news. Everybody's talking about it. But what's really going on with all this Olympic stuff? And why is there so much division about it? Well, I'm going to give you my take on it.
I thought that the opening ceremony was a disgrace, actually. I thought it was a disgrace. Look, I'm for everybody. I'm very open-minded. You understand. Yeah. You know me better than most people know me. I'm very open-minded. But I thought what they did was a disgrace.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode, and thank you for joining me from wherever you're watching. We're going to discuss this, but we're only going to discuss this one time. It's the only video I'm going to do about it, and I didn't even want to do this one. But I feel like it's necessary because I'm doing it from a different perspective. So a lot of stuff happened at the Olympics, and it's a big controversy and all that stuff. The first video of Trump calling it a disgrace, I agree with it. I mean, it was a disgrace, but that's not what we're going to get into. We all know what it was about. We can try to cover it up all we want, but we know what it was about, so we're not even going to go there. What I want to discuss is what the responses to this were. And what I mean by that are no matter what table they were representing, and let's just side note, I don't really care about Leonardo da Vinci's painting. It's a painting. So that's not what we're calling out here. No matter what table they were at, no matter what they were representing, it was drag queens, transgenders, a child, and a guy that for some reason had some of his stuff hanging out. So the calling out of the mockery of God isn't just about what table they were representing. It's about the celebration of sexual debauchery and sexual sin. I don't understand why that's confusing, because that's sin. And although I sin, everyone sins, the reason that we call it out is because it's being celebrated. That's different than throwing stones at people for sinning. I'm not throwing stones. I'm merely pointing out the fact that on a grand world stage, there is an entire performance dedicated to spitting in the face of God. And my question is, why were so many people? I mean, I saw it on social media, right? Like I saw the very first time I saw the post, and immediately all kinds of people, including Christians, their first response was to defend it. Oh, no, it's Dionysus. It's Greek mythology stuff. So what? That's vile and disgusting. And they're pushing sexual debauchery and sin on everyone on a national stage, on national television. That's what is wrong with it. That's where the mockery comes in. God hates sin. Mine, yours, everyone's. He hates the sin we commit, and he hates the sin living inside of us. I use the word hate there. I'm going to use an adjective. He hates it with a righteous hate. A righteous hate. Now, how do I say that? Why do I say it like that? Well, because we have to, if we want to spread the good news of Jesus, we have to understand what happened. In Isaiah, it talks about some of the pain that he went through. He was bruised for our trespasses, he was pierced for our trespasses. He was crushed for our iniquities. Let's examine that for a second. He was crushed. Later on down, it says the will of God was to crush him. So why? Why would he do that? Because he hates sin. Now let's go back to crush. Who crushed him? It wasn't the whips. It wasn't the beatings. It wasn't the thorns. God's full wrath was upon him. Why was his full wrath upon him? Because God hates sin with a righteous hate. Okay, I know I added some dramatic emphasis to that, but bear with me. So if he hates sin and crushed Jesus with his full wrath on the cross, how dare I think I should come anywhere close to defending it, let alone celebrate it? Think about that. Who am I to put a human or a group of human beings that are openly sinning, causing mockery to the Lord? How dare I defend it, let alone celebrate it? How dare anyone? I mean, let me just back that up for a second. I'm not going to do it. I'm definitely not going to do it. That's not a chance I'm going to take at all. Not even a little, because I don't need the wrath of God in my life. He has provided his son's sacrifice, which was absolutely horrific. But it was necessary because we're all depraved. We're all sinners, right? The difference is I don't celebrate mine. I'm not going to celebrate yours. I'm not going to celebrate anyone's. I don't want to sound like a broken record. So, I mean, that's really, honestly, again, what does it matter? What table, right? What does it matter? I think we're looking at this incorrectly. The argument, the exposure of what is evil and what is bad and what is against God. It's not hate to expose that stuff. We're told to in Ephesians, we're told to several times to expose the darkness, to expose what is evil. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to move on to the second video. Okay, before we go any further, as always, this video is sponsored by TrevorHuntMusic.com. You can go visit him on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and go visit the website. I think he's got some pretty cool merch on there. Also, if you like this video, even if you don't, could you just like and share and subscribe? Make sure that you send it out to your friends.
The fact that this male boxer apparently isn't trans, that's the claim anyway. Again, I don't know for sure. The fact that Khalif is allegedly intersex, that somehow proves their point about the women's sports issue. But of course it does the opposite, because those of us on the side of common sense have always said that segregating sports based on sex has nothing to do with transgenderism. We are not trying to keep males out of women's sports because we're engaged in some kind of, discriminatory plot against trans people. We don't care if the male competing against women is trans or not. His self-identification is totally irrelevant. That is our point. It's what we've been saying the whole time. Trans, intersex, or something else, it doesn't matter. Okay, if somebody is male, if they have a Y chromosome, they should not compete against women.
So not really a ton extra to say about that. Mr. Walsh hit the nail on the head there. That video was brought to you by the Daily Wire's Matt Walsh. But honestly, the few things I'm going to say are just that, and I talked about this in my last video with, the slow fade of us letting all of this happen is we are letting ourselves be confused, apparently, by what is, we always used to know what's biology was, and people are either male or they're female. Just because, like he said, just because there's a condition or something, that doesn't make a third category. If you have a Y chromosome, you have your body can, you can say all you want, not a scientist, biologist, whatever, but it is what it is. It's been this way for, ever. So I just feel like we want to rush to judgment. Same thing happened with this video as happened to the opening ceremony video. People rushed to defend it, calling it hate for calling it out. That's domestic abuse. We used to call that domestic abuse. The Olympics is on a roll here. They're going to make a whole new section for just men beating up women. I digress. I could go on forever about that, and I'm sure you don't want me to. Bottom line is this, and we all have to come to this realization, that Jesus paid a really big price. And if we don't recognize what that price is and what it really was that God did to him for us, we can't appreciate it. And if we can't appreciate it, then how do we really know him? How do we really understand what God is for and what he hates? Because, he's God. He can do whatever he wants. He's sovereign. He can hate things, and he does. And as his followers, as his believers in him, we're called to do so. I'm calling out atrocities. I'm calling out sin in the sense of being celebrated. I'm not going to call out each individual sin. It's sin in the world that is being projected upon us. I guess that's all I really have to say about it. God bless, and I'll see you next time.